everyone. Today, um, we're pretty close to Ascension Thursday. That's next week, and I'm gonna get right into the news. So, there was an article on the Daily Signal. This is about the SSPX. Two parishioners at a Latin Mass Catholic church in rural Northern Virginia say they witnessed suspicious activity from what looked like FBI vehicles in February, a month after the FBI's Richmond office published a now rescinded internal memo focused on the radical traditional Catholics. Two witnesses told the Daily Signal that they saw two cars approach the church, drive through the parking lot as if they were writing down license plate numbers, and then leave on two separate instances outside Immaculate Heart of Mary Chapel in Linden, Virginia, 63 miles west of Washington, D.C. This was between February 12th and February 26th. The memo had been published on January 23rd and rescinded on February 9th. A parishioner said, "I saw a black Ford car with dark tinted windows and a knob-like antenna on the top. It was driving very slowly by all the cars, and I could see a laptop in the center front. I could not see the person inside, and no one ever got out. They did leave as soon as they saw me looking at them." Another witness said, "I saw a white Chevy Tahoe car." I thought that was a SUV. But anyway, with very tinted windows and lots of antennas driving slowly through the parking lot. Looked like a male. He had an open laptop in the middle of the car. Not sure if he was typing, as the window was very dark. He never got out of the car. But by the time I saw him, he was on his way out and drove back towards the highway after pulling through. Not sure how long he was out there, as we were all inside. Everyone else was still inside the chapel, so he must have been going around while we were all inside at Mass/catechism. I suspect it was the FBI. I could not confirm, since he never got out of the car. So, it seems as though the FBI is continuing to target Latin Masses, particularly SSPX. So if your Latin Mass is a religious order, like SSPX, FSSP Institute, then you're probably more likely to be a target. But keep your eyes out. It's sad because really, at Latin Masses, we want to invite new people to embrace the Catholic faith, and it hurts us because if we're suspicious of new people, maybe they're feds, who knows? It's just sad to see that the feds are trying to infiltrate the Latin Masses, but maybe they'll convert. It's possible. It's very possible. Come and see. All right, so where is this guy from? There was a priest who was suspended. So Don Tuillo Rotondo, an Italian Catholic priest ordained in 2004, has been suspended by his bishop for having published a book against Pope Francis' errors that's contained in his 2016 post-synodal exhortation, Amoris Laetitia. The book title is "The Betrayal of Sound Doctrine Through Amoris Laetitia: How Pope Francis and some of his collaborators are spreading a morality contrary to the deposit of faith." There you go. So he's suspended for this. The priest said, "The main arguments in my book that causes this suspension are those by which I highlight the Pope's errors, that is, his opposition to tradition and Holy Scripture. Beginning with chapter 3 of the book, I highlight various errors of the Pope and some of his associates are spreading regarding the sacrament of confession, moral conscience, the moral law, and the death penalty. These errors are a subversion and not an evolution of Catholic doctrine. We should oppose them as they are greatly detrimental to the salvation of souls." So this priest was suspended. And you know, if even like 5 to 10 priests of this diocese stood behind him and supported him, and they also took suspensions, what would the bishop do? Would he actually suspend them? That many? If that many took a stand? It's only a few. It only takes a few. But instead, this guy kind of goes by himself, and are any of his fellow priests supporting him? I don't know. Is he getting paid? He's probably on the diocesan payroll. So I mean, at that point, what does it hurt? Okay. Archbishop Giacomo Morandi told local media on April 27th how Francis appointed him to Reggio Emilia Guastalla, Italy. Morandi was the secretary of the CDF, Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, but Francis began to dislike him for his cautious opposition to LMNOP blessings, Morandi's opposition to LMNOP blessings and the rigid Traditionis Custodes. Francis decided to get rid of him, but when he called Morandi in December 21 to inform him of his transfer to Reggio, Morandi had already read about it in the local newspaper. This is how Francis works. He leaks sensitive information to people around him whose job it is to pass it on to the press. Francis's current victim is Archbishop Ganswine. News outlet Solari Non Possum believes that he already knows that it is the press that will reveal where he is going. The more likely possibility is Francis will just let him sit around. So Ganswine is in no man's land, which, I mean, I don't know, would it really be that bad of a thing? I mean, he gets to just do whatever he wants, and I don't know. Is it really that bad? Okay. The Roman Mass at St. Monica's, Edmond, the Latin Mass, in the Oklahoma City Archdiocese is canceled, Father Stephen Hamilton announced on April 30th. Hamilton believes that Archbishop Coakley, whom he is friends with even since before he became a bishop, tried to save the Mass. They met numerous times. He said, "We have been trying together to find ways around what Rome is doing. I want to state clearly the blame for this falls squarely on the Pope and the Cardinal in charge of the Dicastery of Divine Worship." Hamilton calls Traditionis Custodes that started all this ugliness, unjust, despicable, a form of spiritual abuse from the universal pastor and deserving of being ignored. Archbishop Coakley has been frustrated by Rome's actions when it became clear in early 23 that Rome was doubling and tripling down on its aggression. I can tell you his look went from frustrated to grieved over what Rome is requiring. So why won't anyone say what they're requiring? Is anyone going to say anything about it, or are they just going to ban stuff and say, oh, it's Rome's fault? What did they tell you? Anyway, Rome is demanding compliance, and Hamilton added, Archbishop Coakley has agreed to basically ignore Rome's demands while we tried to find solutions and hoped for a different outcome. Hamilton would be comfortable with ignoring Rome's aggression, but would it result in endless questions. Why would I lie and say we have permission? Would I seem to be promoting open defiance of the Holy Father? I mean, I don't really know. Okay, and you'll hear about that a little bit later, a different perspective from a different bishop. Actually, very soon. But getting back to the SSPX. So this past Wednesday, May 3rd, the Immaculata Church in St. Mary's, Kansas was consecrated by Bishop Bernard Fillet. With over 1,500 seats, it's the largest Catholic church in Kansas and the largest SSPX church in the world, as I said last week. Did you watch the ceremony? It's on YouTube. It's like over 4 hours long. The incense burning on the altar was really cool. I mean, Check it out if you haven't seen it. Lots of people. Long ceremony. During the homily, Bishop Fillet mentioned that Curia Archbishop Guido Pozzo once approached him and said, "Francis asked me, where do they have so much money from, SSPX?" Fillet replied, "All the buildings that we build, they do not come from so much money. They come from the faithful who have the faith." The Immaculata Church costs $42 million. The cathedral in Los Angeles, known for not being particularly Catholic looking, costs $187 million. So if you're going by the statistics, that's over 4 times what the Immaculata costed. And the Immaculata is bigger. If it's the largest Catholic church in Kansas, it's bigger than the cathedrals for all of the dioceses in Kansas. The Gloria TV said they said that the cathedral in Los Angeles was arguably the ugliest cathedral in the world. Now, and the cost of living is a little higher, but I'm sure the cost of things in Los Angeles a little bit higher than in Kansas, but still, I mean, that's an interesting comparison. And the SSPX is building beautiful churches with less money, and the modern Novus Ordo Rite builds really ugly churches. Although I don't see them building very many more churches in the near future. And if they do, they will build them. Many of them, I would imagine, will look Catholic as opposed to the churches that have been built in the last 50, 60, 70 years. I think it was ugly churches were a problem before Vatican II. Vatican II kind of expedited the problem, but they were ugly church architecture was a thing going way back to the 50s, the 1950s. All right. According to the Rigid Traditionis Custodes, Las Vegas Bishop George Thomas was allegedly forced to move the Mass away from St. Bridget's Parish because it is a parish. He knew that Rome would reject a request to continue celebrating Mass at St. Bridget's, so he found an alternative, the Shrine of the Most Holy Redeemer, and he wrote a letter to the parishioners of this parish. And it doesn't go the way that you would expect. It doesn't go the way of Archbishop Coakley. And it's a long letter. And then he said he made the decision to move the Latin Mass. And so it will be celebrated at the Shrine of the Most Holy Redeemer. So shrines are fair game for Latin Masses. You can move Latin Masses to shrines. And so this is how bishops get around these ridiculous restrictions. I would say they're evil restrictions. It goes against divine law, and so it must be resisted. But anyway, he moved it to a shrine. So he thanked the priest. He said, okay, so out of my desire to provide for this ministry while remaining faithful to the Holy See, I believe that this proactive change will offer other benefits as well. The ability to provide the sacrament of reconciliation and confessions every Sunday prior to Mass, which has not been possible because of the schedule at St. Bridget's. The opportunity to celebrate all non-Sunday Masses, such as the Holy Week Triduum and movable feasts, which has not been possible given the schedule at St. Bridget's. I think that's a typo. Which has not been possible given the schedule at St. Bridget's. The possibility of celebrating other sacraments, including First Communions, weddings, and funerals at one location, depending on the shrine's calendar and availability of the priest celebrants. So he basically just gave permission for them to celebrate the sacraments, which many bishops have banned. This is at a diocesan shrine, I believe. And then he said they could celebrate the Triduum. That's unlikely. So why does this bishop? How does this bishop give permission for it, and other bishops ban it? How does that work? So this bishop doesn't seem to be so rigid. So what is the excuses of the bishops who are banning Latin masses, banning the sacraments? What's their excuse? Oh, I'm getting so much pressure from Rome. What? Well, is this? Are they ignoring this bishop? Is Rome ignoring this bishop? Bishop George Thomas? I believe that's his name. Yeah. What's going on? I don't know. But anyway, this bishop, if you're in Las Vegas, then it seems like he is accommodating these people. I think is there an SSPX chapel there? I would imagine so. And that's the threat that hangs over the bishops' heads, is that the SSPX are going to be there if you ban Latin masses. All right. Cardinal Gregory noted that Catholics think of Mary during the entire month of May. He said, Mary probably did the cooking and the cleaning and told Jesus, don't misbehave today. Don't misbehave today. Really? Where did they come up with this stuff? Like, did he learn that in the seminary? I got nothing for you. I don't know. Anyway, what do you call that? I can't do anything but shake my head. There's no reasonable reaction to that. Okay. That's it for EVTN News today. Until next time, I hope you are enjoying some nice weather where you live. It's turning into springtime, and that's good. It's nice. Get outside and take a walk. Don't watch YouTube all day. Don't go on Twitter and, I don't know, don't argue on Twitter. It's not worth your time. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. This has been EVTN News. Until next time, we are the laity, and we will not be silent.